Can bring it in, send it out. Yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's CiL GR86 Cup Race live from Virginia International Raceway. I'm Matthew Nordberg. Joining me up in the booth for tonight's race is going to be Joshua Crane. We are in for a good race tonight here as we have this 3.24-mile track to take on. Current temperature about 90 degrees, so this track's going to be quite slick for these drivers today as the sun sets on a beautiful day here at VIR. Josh, it's going to be a fun track. Not a track these drivers race often. What are you expecting from these drivers tonight?
Well, they're going to have to get their practice laps that they've got, and then get their qualifying laps in and understand the track. Make note of landmarks. In practice, we saw a lot of cars, some with little offs and some with big offs, and that's going to be where these drivers have to really maintain their composure. These laps are going to be pretty long tonight. Still 10 laps, but these drivers will have they're doing about 2 minutes right now per lap, which is probably the longest that we will see this season. And so it is going to be a little bit of a unique challenge for these drivers. Sometimes iRacing officials go here, Matt, but it's a little bit rarer. And so these drivers are going to have to make sure that they're confident with all their braking and turn in and their standard driver actions tonight.
For sure, and I think this track is very much a track of two halves. I think you have the first sector, which is very much kind of tight, twisty, back and forth, and then you kind of get into the middle and the back section of the track where a lot more high speed, and I think these drivers are really going to have to try to keep their cars underneath them, and I think obviously we've seen a lot of incidents play out over the past couple of weeks just with how tight some of these corners are, especially into turn one. As we see one driver go off here as qualifying has just started here. Drivers get about 10 minutes to set the qualifying times. As right now we're looking at Thomas Toomey. I believe he's coming through the last sector of the lap now, Josh.
Yeah, Toomey's going to complete that there, just a bit of rumble strips, and Toomey, one of the drivers who's probably turned the most laps at this track, giving his background in sim racing and in iRacing. But as we go on board, you can see this difficult corner. Turn one, it starts right off, Matt. It's heavy on the brakes, and that's going to be shown tonight in these cars that we say feels like every week don't give a lot of feedback to these drivers. So you can see Virginia here, they're actually hugging that inside. It becomes the outside for a little double left right here, and again, you want to be properly on the brakes. You're turning the car the whole way through. Thomas choosing to use a little bit of runoff there, and then you can get these curbs so well. You see that car bounce up, and then the same thing as he moves through here, and then just a chance a little bit to open it up. You want to eat these curbs as much as you can. Some drivers will feel like V8 supercars are out here on the track. But yeah, you mentioned it, Matt. So now the drivers have an opportunity to think a little bit, set up their opponents as they go into these bigger section of S's. First we had the tight S's. Now a little bit looser and down into the corner or up into the corner, depending on how you want to balance it. Yeah, just sideways right there. That track that grass jumps out at you as you complete that left-hand turn. Now around the corner, there you go. There used to be a big oak tree right on the inside of that corner, but it is no longer with us. And so back on down the straightaway. This is it. This is the sector that you mentioned, Matt. This is just straight on, and Virginia is going to go down here. They're going to have a lot of time to themselves, and yeah, these cars not as peppy as the Formula College Formula 4 cars that we would see during the school year, and so that's going to be something these drivers have to sort out. These cars, not big drafting cars, but maybe right there on the straightaway we'll see. Oh, big slip right there for Virginia. Toomey had to gather it up. Another set of flowing S's, and that's really the fun part of this track. And right here, you want to make so much time. The suspension loads up, and you need to manage the speed. That final kink right there to the right is not always given. You got to set up. Your car needs to have already have the suspension loaded, and it needs to take a set, and that will be across the line there for Virginia and for Thomas Toomey. Good enough for second place at the moment, but yeah, that's a lap around Virginia International Raceway here, Matt, and it's going to keep these drivers busy the whole time, but they will get a little bit of reprieve as they run just past the oak tree.
Yeah, for sure. This track officially has 17 corners, but as you saw in that onboard, a lot of those corners are flat out, especially pretty much turns 5 through 9 are all flat, and then you kind of have a lot of chicanes which turn into one corner on the track map. So lots of stuff to navigate through tonight for these drivers, and I think that kind of middle sector up to the hairpin where the oak tree used to be, and then that long back stretch is going to be interesting to watch and see how these drivers are going to set up their attacks as our drivers continue qualifying right now. It's Michael Tognati out of the College of San Mateo, currently sitting in third place right now, a couple seconds back from our pole position holder at the moment of Kyle Bonin from Clemson. But I believe this is through the final sector of corners, or hairpin. You can't tell that well by the missing oak tree, but down the back stretch, Michael Tognati goes, hoping to set a quicker lap time than he's got on the board right now.
Yeah, Matt, the College of San Mateo is enjoying their time through the mid part of this season because they're third in the point standings. They follow Clemson University, who follows Drexel University at the top of the school and university standings here. So it's coming down to it. They are 78 points back, and that's a pretty big gap to make up to the leader of the championship standings, but they also have a healthy margin over Mississippi College at this point in time. And so, yeah, Michael Tognati and College of San Mateo, we've seen that car, driver, school come to life a little bit in the midsection. And it looks like the way he's taking those curves, he's not changing the plan this evening, Matt. He's going right for it. So, very excited to see how that car gets on. And, yeah, Clemson University and Kyle Bonin, definitely the ringer of that group on the road side. So when Kyle Bonin is in the race, Clemson University has a very good opportunity there. Actually tied on points in our last week, and then Clemson University tying the College of San Mateo when Kyle Bonin is behind the wheel, getting those points for that crew. And so a lot of movement around, and that's very exciting as we go through the summer and these drivers come and go and try and remain busy. So yeah, no problem there, but Kyle Bonin really fast right now. He's almost a second faster at this 2 minutes and 7 seconds or so a lap for these drivers, and so that's going to be something that they get to sort out.
Yeah, as we were watching Kyle Bonin there on his out lap right now, really trying to warm up those tires, trying to find every ounce of grip available to him as he steams down into turn one for another flying lap, trying to improve. Only driver under the 208 barrier right now. As you said, he's about almost a second clear of second place driver Thomas Toomey at the moment. But I think one thing that's kind of interesting about this track is it is recently rescanned by iRacing. Something to note, they kind of updated the track, rescanned it, removed the oak tree, unfortunately, that many of us found dear to our hearts. I think it's going to be a bit more of a challenge to these drivers, just because I think there are some aspects of this track which have been updated to more accurately reflect the real track. Obviously, I remember these curbs prior to the update I always felt like they were much harsher than they are now. That's one thing to help these drivers out, but it'll be fun to watch to see how these drivers navigate the track. And it's at twilight as well, so depending on where that sun is, these drivers might have to navigate with some sun in their eyes.
Yeah, and again, we will go a little bit longer as these 10 laps are going to be a little bit more time-filled, and so we will get the golden hour, and we will get the evening racing there. The headlights are on these Toyotas, but that's a very good point for sim racing. They've gone to scan the track, and some will recall when that oak tree had to come out due to reasons. There was all manner of bringing back that national landmark, a replacement, a plastic replacement, a holographic replacement. But what is the point of sim racing if you don't put the oak tree at that corner? That seems like something. That seems like a missed opportunity for the rescan here on iRacing.
I know that oak tree always told me I was at the pretty much the midpoint of the track. Also obstructed my view a little bit sometimes going into that corner of turn 12, that second right-hander. But apparently it got hit by a car during a race, and that's why they had to remove it in real life. I guess either for safety reasons or the tree just couldn't handle being hit by a car at full speed. So either way, it's a landmark not forgotten about, and I'm sure we'll probably talk about it more than once tonight on this broadcast.
Yeah, we will. We will have to, because the physical tree is gone, but the corner name there before all these drivers enter the longest straightaway on the calendar is in fact Oak Tree, and so that will be said a number of times this evening. But I do not see much improvement from the University of Virginia. That gap has been about 870 the whole time here. Virginia's lap time being a 2:08, 8:18 for those counting. And, I think that Kyle Bonin looking pretty good right now. At this point, these drivers are all going to have to put in their laps, because we said about 2 minutes a lap, and we're less than 2 minutes to qualifying. So I don't know if Virginia will have an opportunity to come through. I know that it looks like they will. They're just a little bit off here. So in about 30 seconds or so, we would expect Virginia to cross the line. Mesa Community College on your screen now with a 2:08, 8:45, and this is the beginning of the lap and first sector, so I do not anticipate an improvement here. All the other drivers kind of jockeying for position. Looks like Timothy Williams actually improving that time, but not quite enough to jump over Andrew Burrell right there. In fact, Andrew Burrell in Clemson University, the second Clemson driver in the running order. They take that car 2.4 seconds off the leader right there. That's a 2:10.364. So sneaky bit from Andrew Burrell right there. But coming across the line, we saw Thomas Toomey there. He's on your map. He's just crossed the line, and notable improvement on that lap. But yeah, that was not enough to grab the top spot.
Yeah, for sure. As the last driver here crosses the line for Alexander Diamond, I don't think he can improve. Doesn't look like he'll start 6th as the qualifying comes to an end as the checker flag has flown. And your starting grid for tonight, it is going to be Kyle Bonin for Clemson University in that 260 machine, starting on your pole position, and right to his outside it's going to be Thomas Toomey from the University of Virginia, the two ACC rivals battling it out on the front row of the grid for tonight's first race. Ian Brown from Mesa Community College came home in 3rd, with Michael Tognati from the College of San Mateo in 4th, with Andrew Burrell, the second Clemson car, in 5th. Alexander Diamond could not improve on his final lap time he set right before the checkered flag flew. He will start in 6th, and his Drexel University teammate will start right behind him in 7th. And then a newcomer to the CiL field, that's Max Hartman from Embry-Riddle University. He will start 8th tonight. I don't think he set a qualifying time, so we'll start from the back of the pack, try to get some experience on the track here in this race.
Yeah, that's Max Hartman. He will be joining here, and no quality time in this case, but plenty of time for sighting the track and checking that all out. So there will be opportunities here, including the invert for the second heat of the night. So these drivers are getting ready. Looks like we're just waiting for Virginia to turn up here on the inside, and that will have our grid underway. But I think that it's going to be a little bit more of a calm race, because this 8-car field is going to be so spread out over this VIR raceway, and I do think that we will have some offs. I do think that we will have some shuffling going on, and I really, really hope that the top 2 or 3 right there, Virginia and Clemson, can have a proper battle up at the front. We know that Mesa Community College as well is fast just about everywhere we go. And so that's going to be a driver, as well as the College of San Mateo, that I would expect to be up front. I do know that Alexander Diamond there in that Drexel car, that's going to be a night of consistency for that crew and that driver. But I don't know if he's going to be able to mix it up with some of those drivers at the front. Again, that qualifying lap, a sub 2:08, with Kyle Bonin, that's going to be tough to beat with race pace.
Yeah, and I always think this is one of those tracks where it's very, very difficult to qualify near the front, just because, especially in that last sector, where you have so many blind corners, you misplace the car on the entry, you're going to be chasing that pretty much through turns 14, 15, 16, and 17. So some of these drivers may be a little cautious in qualifying just to get a qualifying time on the board and be towards the front of the field, or on the front half of the field, I should say. Maybe Ian Brown or Thomas Toomey, they're not quite up to the qualifying speed of Kyle Bonin, but that doesn't mean that they won't have the race pace Kyle Bonin has either. So we'll have to see how this race plays out. It's going to be a 10-lap race here this evening, so it should give plenty of time for our drivers to get into a rhythm and really try to fight their way through the field, especially for drivers who maybe didn't qualify as well as they wanted to.
Yeah, I think that is correct as well. Looking forward to seeing how Embry-Riddle gets on here. Not their debut. In fact, they've had a couple other drivers, but Max Hartman will be making his debut this evening, so that's very exciting. And also, Timothy Wilms back there, he will be able perhaps to move his way up. We know that kind of Wilms, Diamond, and a Burrell, those two Drexel drivers and the Clemson driver, have a pretty good history of racing together politely. So love to see that, and we're going to have an opportunity to see it here.
Yeah, for sure. These drivers come to the Oak Tree hairpin here. This is turn 11 and 12. We're going to have lots of time to think about this race start as they come down this long backstretch. The longest straightaway on the track, and it might even be the longest straightaway on the calendar this season for the GR86 car. It's just flat out for what feels like 35 seconds almost as they come down to this tight, kind of twisty section before the end of the lap where it's a lot of blind corners, so expect to see a lot of action in the second half of the lap once this race gets going. But drivers getting ready to go green here.
Yeah, these drivers are coming up to it. Everybody trying to warm their tires up a little bit. We know that Mesa Community College, very vigorous in how they get that car turned side to side, want to get all the heat in the core of that tire. And that is modeled here in iRacing, as hard as it is in the world of motorsport to model tires. There is a temperature on the outside where you place your hand on that tire, and temperature there at the core, and the outside is what we'd like to warm up, and then the carcass of the tire, or the core of the tire, is where you're going to store a lot of that heat, and that's what you don't want to overheat as you are making your way around any racetrack. And so that is also the part. And then when you have your favorite F1 driver who has a little bit of an issue, that is the overheating of the outside of the tire. But coming to green, Matt, we see Kyle Bonin bringing these cars down, everybody jockeying for position. Clemson getting pushed a little bit, maybe Virginia running quite close, but these drivers are off. There they go. Mesa Community College is on the inside. That's going to be huge right here. How much defense do we see from Mesa Community College? We did not expect Virginia to give much room, and very deep on the brakes from both drivers. Very impressive there. I did not think that both those cars were going to make that corner, but they did. The College of San Mateo pulls in fourth, but your leader straight away is that orange-wheeled, orange-striped Clemson Tiger car. He is going to show the way around this Sector 1 right here, and it looks like the battle on at the back as well.
Yeah, Mesa Community College's Ian Brown had a great start. He's able to take second position from Thomas Toomey as they head down this kind of flat-out left-right left section. Every corner on this part of the track is flat out, so don't expect to see much overtaking here. But as they come up towards the hairpin where the oak tree used to be, I'm sure they'll try to make a lunge down the inside as Thomas Toomey following right behind the rear wing of Ian Brown at the moment. Could he make a move up into this right-hand braking zone? Maybe not quite, as they come out of the left-hander to finish the section. It looks like he's going to take a look around the outside of Ian Brown here. Thomas Toomey from the University of Virginia can't quite get the move done. But Kyle Bonin, he still has these cars right on his tail. As it looks like Ian Brown goes a little bit wide coming out of the oak tree section. That's going to give Thomas Toomey a great opportunity here to reclaim second position as they steam down this back stretch, and he gets the move done well before the braking zone, back up into second, and Kyle Bonin has pulled a little bit of a gap to these two drivers now.
Yeah, it does seem kind of tricky to pass right here, so that's going to hurt for Mesa Community College, and it's going to hurt because you do not want to come onto the longest straight with the least momentum. That's, of all the places to go off on corner exit, that's about the worst place to do it. But that driver will come back ahead. Looks like Drexel did make their way around Max Hartman there and Embry-Riddle University. We'll see if there's any rebuttal from Hartman in his debut here on the CiL roadside. Back up, it looks like the mid-pack right now, that is Drexel University with a solid run. I wonder if there's a little bit of an issue. Oh, and off goes Embry-Riddle, but the battle side by side. This is for 5th position, and Drexel University looks like they are coming out on top of this one. They're going to have a car length going into turn 1.
Yeah, it looks like just off in the back of the field, it looks like Max Hartman went off the track. He might have hit the the barrier too, because he has pulled it into the pit. So I don't know how bad the damage is if he hit the wall or anything, but it looks like he'll be out of this race. He might be able to get back out on the track later on, but it looks like to me Ian Brown has had something go on. He is way down in the back of the pack now. He must have gone off the track. We'll have to get a replay of what happened there, Josh.
Mesa did exactly that off the car. Don't know if there was help or contact involved. I didn't think so. He was not close right next to anybody. But yeah, here's Ian Brown and Mesa going down into the corner. Looks like going down into turn 1, if I see correct. Yeah, turn 1 it is. And just sideways. Oh, had to save it. Got it gathered up. Good on not to hit anything. But yeah, no traction in the grass. And heavy understeer, if you could even call it that. But finally gets that 003 back on track, but not before losing a number of positions. And actually, you know what, I say that, Matt, but Ian Brown right now trying to make that time up. He is coming back at Drexel, and he's going to get there quickly, I suspect.
Yeah, that's so easy to do at a corner like turn 1, where it's kind of this wide, early apex sweeping corner where you think you can carry so much speed and really kind of bleed speed off as you go through the corner, and you brake a little too late, you turn the car, and the back end just gets all too loose on you, and you go for a spin. And especially on a track where there's no runoff and it's just grass, if you go off the track in a corner like that, you'll have no grip to get back on the track, and it's going to take you a good few seconds to gather yourself back up, as we see Ian Brown make the pass with the 6th position here on Timothy Wilms going down the backstretch. So tough break for Ian Brown. I know last week he had some issues, I believe, with connectivity, as well as I believe he was involved in an early race wreck in race 2 last week. So he'll be fighting back, and hopefully he can make up a few more positions before the end of this one.
Yeah, we talked about the College of San Mateo getting hot, and off again for Mesa Community College. That position is going to come right back, and that's the most popular place to do it right there. We said you've got to not discount that kink there at the end, and yeah, Mesa Community College probably ready for that invert. But back up at the front, Thomas Toomey and Virginia are trying all the moves right here to try and go to work on his Clemson opponent in Kyle Bond, and the 166 is moving to the inside. He's looking all over. Both those cars jumping around, bouncing around. Those drivers have a handful right now. Great line from Toomey as he tries to look underneath. He's got a strong run off, but boy, you get a run, Matt, and there's really nowhere to go with it given what this track does in the first sector here. But now he's got to run. He is on the back bumper. He's under the wing. Does he pull out to the side? I don't know that he's ready to make the move, so I would look for a move, Matt, after Oak Tree coming up here.
I wouldn't be too sure, because there's this kind of a quick braking right-hander coming up here for both these drivers, or left-hander I should say, excuse me. And it looks like Toomey's fallen back just a little bit, but Toomey's had really great exits coming off some of these slower corners, and I think that's going to help him coming through a lot of these fast sectors. Unfortunately, just way too tight to get an overtake done in really Sector 1 before the Oak Tree. Unless you can get it done in turn 1 or turn 3 maybe, but this long back stretch, it looks like Kyle Bonin is just a little bit better through the Oak Tree section. That's turns 11 and 12 at the top of the track, and I think that's really going to propel him forward to kind of keep the battle, or I should say keep Thomas Toomey at bay, at least for this lap. We'll see what can happen here, but this draft has really helped Toomey get back to within half a second before this next braking zone.
Yeah, that draft and slipstream is going to help Toomey, even if just in the lap times right there. But Kyle Bonin is in command of this right now, and is known for his 2 Volkswagen hatches. 26 years apart, so he's got one. Oh, and he's off sideways, and it's on again. Very dangerous right there. Can Virginia take advantage? They'll pull to the inside. Virginia, by the time we get to turn 1, has half a car length. They've got 1 car length, and it's growing. And that is going to be key. So I thought we might have a tough battle there of racecraft, but that was the result right there. On Clemson off again, so not a good lap for Clemson as a whole right here. Bonin off, and then Burrell off in the same spot right there. Look, the beneficiary is Mesa Community College. Ian Brown will come back in that scenario. But, yeah, this battle is not going away now. Kyle Bonin knows that he needs to get around Virginia here if he's going to collect all the points tonight.
For sure, that last corner is not doing any drivers any favors tonight. I think that's the 3rd driver we've seen go off at turn 17 tonight. First it was fourth actually. First it was Max Hartman, then Ian Brown, and then Kyle Bonin and Andrew Burrell. I think regardless of skill level or school affiliation, that turn is not taking any survivors tonight, apparently, as Toomey is now defending from a hard-charging Kyle Bonin here. I'm surprised Kyle Bonin has done such a good job through this first sector here to keep up with Thomas Toomey. We saw Toomey strong the lap before in this sector, and I think now it's almost like the rules have reversed, as it looks like Thomas Toomey's taking way too much curb coming out of turn 12, and that's going to give Bonin the chance to make a pass.
That is going to give. Now, does he go left or right? Because that's going to be a difficult decision based on the section of track that is coming up next. So that's going to be pretty well thought out here. He's got a lot of time to think down that backstretch, and maybe we're saying that he's not ready to make his move yet. So he's got his poker face full on right now, Matt. Braking a little bit early, giving a little bit of space is Clemson down into the corner right here. And gave up a little bit of time, but I think he's just sizing up. Again, I don't think he has to force anything. We talked about it's going to be a little bit longer heats tonight, and there's more corners, more opportunities per lap than we see typically, so all drivers staying on the racing surface right there very nicely. So, Clemson I don't think is, if you're a Clemson Tiger out there, no need to fret just yet.
Yeah, it was almost like Kyle Bonin just wanted to sit in the mirror and bump draft Toomey there and just let him know. It's like, hey, man, I'm still here. You got to worry about me for another 6 laps now. As it looks like another car off the track, maybe Timothy Wilms off the track and then Barry. I believe that is in turn 17. Another victim for that last corner, and there's just absolutely no grip. You can see him spinning the tires there, trying to get turned around and back facing the track, but I don't think he can do it. Maybe some suspension damage will prevent him from doing that, as it looks like turn 17 is claimed another driver tonight, Josh.
Yeah, I saw that right front tire down. You saw it there in the grass, and I think that was a copy of what we saw with Embry-Riddle a little bit earlier tonight. Just not forgiving is this racetrack. Virginia International Raceway, pretty well known, not just on the east side of the Mississippi River, but nationally. It's where Car and Driver famously does and did their lightning lap annually. And hosts a countless array, Matt, of other events. But we're seeing why right now this is asking every bit of grip and patience from the cars and from the drivers. And I tell you what, I always enjoy watching the drivers and the artists master their craft. And I do see every time he goes into that first right-hander, Matt, Virginia and Thomas Toomey kind of throw that car in. So he's got a little bit of slip in the car already, and it's so loaded up on that right side. I wonder if that's how he's getting that car in, braking later, turning. So he's not only braking, but he's scrubbing off that speed to make the apex. And so I might have to add that to my strategy as well next time I find myself in a GT3 race.
Yes, Kyle Bonin chases Toomey here through this kind of last sector. Lots of blind corners. You can't see the apex here really from the cockpit view until you're right up on it almost. Through turn 17 they go, and it looks like they're on the track together still, as Kyle Bonin now has a fantastic run. You see him gaining speed over Thomas Toomey right now as he looks to make a pass in the grass. That's a purposeful move, I feel like, from Kyle Bonin. Wow, I'm not quite sure what he was thinking there, because there was definitely room to make the pass on the outside there, but decided to turn right and see if the grass had any grip, and turns out it didn't.
That's I love that. We've seen it in officials. We've seen it in the just about every Miata race that's ever happened at Road America, Road Atlanta with grass. The grass. I'm not going to say there's grip out there, Matt, but yeah, there's a little bit of opportunity. And you know what? Why not? We said nothing to lose. He knows that if he falls back, he's probably got the confidence to catch back up. He saw a little window. Is there an opportunity? I don't know if he wanted to go that far out in the grass, but he's definitely got Thomas thinking, what if this guy moves down? And I love it. I love the move. Those who have the rule book in front of them will cite that one cannot gain an advantage by going off the track, but the strategy for Bonin in that situation would be to keep two wheels just as little as he can there on the white line. And so it's not a terrible idea, and we've seen it in these cars. That's why we enjoyed the this Miata style racing. The GR86 right here for the summer has been pretty enjoyable at times.
Yeah, for sure. As it looks like Kyle Bonin here is now going to try to make a move around the outside of turn 13 and inside of turn 14 here as they come down this long back stretch. It looks like Michael Tognati has been in an incident, though. He's fallen down the timing tower right now as Alexander Diamond moves up to third. But for the first position right now, Kyle Bonin around the outside, on the inside now for the next right-hander. Side by side, Clemson and Virginia go. And it looks like Thomas Toomey is able to hang on tough around the outside and keep that first position for now as the College of San Mateo's Michael Tognati drops through the field right now.
Yeah, that is exactly what's going on. You saw the battle there, very exciting, and both those drivers not given an inch. It was right there. Tognati was off at Oak Tree right there and actually conducted, in my opinion, what would be an unsafe rejoin. And so the stewards will be looking at that there as Drexel came by. So, yeah, this looks like actually College of San Mateo gets a little bit sideways right here. Yes, so a little bit of a detour right here. Ooh, caught the curb. Yeah, you don't want to hit the gas or the brakes in that situation, Matt. So got to turn the right way, but is rejoining the track now. And yeah, right when Drexel comes by, when you exit the track, you got to return safely. Mesa Community College there picking up the remainder of that position. So I think it's going to be an add of insult to injury right there for the College of San Mateo and Michael Tognati. But back up at the front, this battle continues on, and man, we got some side-by-side racing with these guys.
You know, I can't say that I expected to see some racing, especially, or some side-by-side racing, I should say, through that, like, turn 13, 14 complex coming off the backstretch. Just because you unload the car so much there, it can be so difficult, as really Kyle Bonin now is hustling the back of that 166 car from the University of Virginia as they come to the Oak Tree section right now. But, yeah, I can't say I expected side-by-side through the corners off the backstretch. But, you know, these drivers always have surprises in store for us. As it looks like Kyle Bonin now taking as much curb as he can get, and he's going to try to make another move here down the backstretch. But Ian Brown is trying to size up a move on Alexander Diamond as well, coming to the Oak Tree now.
I was going to say, you don't even need it to change the camera, Matt. Oh, it is sideways. Mesa is around on the limit right there. That's going to be a function of those cars. The pass, though, back on the lead. Kyle Bonin and Clemson University appear to have a run, so maybe a slip from Virginia there on the corner exit, but side by side, here we go. The pass now is done. New leader, Clemson University, and the Tigers take this one to the point. They are coming to 3 to go, this time by, and this has been quite the back half. And middle section sideways again. Oh. He's got it corrected. Brilliant save. Oh, it's not saved yet, Matt. And he has now saved it. He'll go straight for a little bit and regather. But, oh, man, that's a big gap now to that Virginia Cavalier.
Yeah, I think Kyle Bonin is very fortunate, or he's counting his lucky stars right now that he didn't spin out there, because he had that car full lock. He was, you know, that was something that you don't save, especially coming out of turn 17, that last corner where you're so, you know, loaded, where if you use a little bit of grip, it can really snap on you. And I'm honestly surprised he saved it, but unfortunate from Ian Brown as well. He lost it coming to the Oak Tree section, that quick left-hander, and you saw it coming. He was really trying to get the overtake done, carried a little too much speed. He corrected, but just a little too much correction, and it really sent the car around. It was definitely something to watch here, as I think we're going to get a replay here now as the Ian Brown spin.
Yeah, and Ian right here. You see that weight transfer, so lazy after the fact on that car right there. Yeah, he's already out of sorts by the time he comes to that left-handed kink, which is already where it's very stressful, depending on the car, but especially in these cars. And yeah, by the time he got there, that car was not settled. Around it went, and yeah, this is a rejoin that we can approve of here. But yeah, Ian Brown, Mesa Community College, and then looks like the same thing for Bonin. Just not much to do right there, as he got that car gathered together. And you do want to load up the front suspension, help it turn right here. And yeah, this is the replay. Just a bit too much curb, and you really want to eat it right there. Yeah, it looked like he had it for a minute, and actually tried to turn and wanted to go to block maybe the Virginia car. Unfortunately, that car was not ready for such a move. But yeah, here it is. All going to be a great view here. As we see the wheelman himself, he got this car. Yeah, he was sideways, I think, Matt, before he got there, and then there you go. Yeah, and then the racetrack turning to the right there did not help. I take it back. I don't think he was trying to move or maneuver or block anything. I just think he spent about 200 feet there of asphalt just trying to gather that car back up.
For sure. And going back to that Ian Brown spin, it almost looked like he dipped his wheel in the grass a little bit on corner entry, and I think that's what upset the car originally, getting to the apex, and then you put your tire in the grass, you lose a little bit of grip on entry, and then it's almost like a accordion effect from there. You're kind of chasing the car through the whole corner until you can get it down to a speed where you regain that grip. And in a fast corner like turn 10 is, it's so difficult to regain the grip there quickly, just because of how fast you're going, and it's off camber. So it's really it's one of the toughest corners on the track, in my opinion. So a race to forget for Ian Brown, and I think Kyle Bonin as well. He's going to have some. He's going to look back and he's going to ruin the chances he missed, leading this race and then regaining the lead, and then immediately a lap later losing the lead due to a mistake on the last corner.
Yeah, so we'll have to see how this shakes out. A couple drivers there on our timing tower, most certainly looking longingly at that invert that's coming up here in just 2 laps time, about a lap and a half right now, as these drivers make their way down to the far end of this Virginia International. And yeah, that car is not happy right now. Clemson's Kyle Bonin, he's got that thing trying to keep it on track, and we'll see what he's doing here as he comes down to take the white flag. Both these drivers, P1 and P2 right now. And Matt, it only gets more challenging here because we can see that the headlights are on, the sun is going down, and if these drivers were struggling to find their points and hit their marks about 10 minutes ago, it's going to be much more challenging in Heat 2, and I think we're really going to get to see the talent of some of these drivers here.
For sure. Driving at night's a completely different ballgame, and especially in the GR86 cars, this doesn't happen super often for these drivers. A lot of these races are obviously happen during the day, but you see night racing a lot in endurance racing, not so much in kind of sprint racing or whatnot, but it's going to be super interesting to see how these drivers deal with the night and how they're going to navigate with the headlights behind them, blinding in their rear view mirror. Maybe some flashing lights as the white flag now flies for Thomas Toomey.
Yeah, if you are not consistently flashing your lights like a barbarian, are you even properly using the car that was given to you? These race drivers will be wondering. But yeah, it looks like we're in the white flag lap now. Thomas Toomey, maybe the only driver, Matt, that we haven't seen off. I'm looking at the scoring tower, and I think all other cars have had at least one excursion there. Looks like Mesa Community College putting that car in 4th position. Oh, it's another off for San Mateo, who was doing so well. Started 3rd and held it for a while. I see Clemson and Andrew Burrell hanging out in the back. That car getting turned back underway, but no threat of losing a position there. Yeah, College of San Mateo is going to try and catch Mesa as best they can. Here you go. So as night falls, it looks like just a bit of grass right there. Maybe a little bit late to turn. It still looks composed right here. And yes, just had to maybe flick that steering wheel left was the best way that I could say that. And yeah, Andrew Burrell right there. And then there you go, around. And yeah, when these cars are so loaded up on the suspension and the weight, it is so difficult to maneuver that kind of downhill 2.5 rights, 2.5 apex right-hander for these drivers.
Yeah, for sure. That Thomas Toomey is coming down the backstretch for one final time here in race 1. He's done a fantastic job. He started in 2nd position, fell back early on, Ended up falling down to third, made a pass on Ian Brown to get back to second, and then hassled the back of that Clemson University machine from Kyle Bonin, and has done brilliantly to keep the car on the black stuff now as Thomas Toomey through the final two corners now, 16A, 16B, and then turn 17 here. It's going to be a great race for Thomas Toomey. He charged from second down to third to first, and he's going to win race one here tonight of the GR86 Cup from Virginia International Raceway, as it looks like Kyle Bonin is going to follow in closely behind him for a second place. A little disappointed for Bonin. I'm sure he's not going to be happy going off the track the amount of times he did, but nonetheless, still a great fight between these two drivers at the front of the field. As behind them, I think chaos has ensued as drivers have really struggled to keep it on the track.
Yeah, that's 100% the case here. These drivers are trying to get as much speed as they can out of the car. Drexel University. None of these GR86 race cars really look happy and composed through that final corner. I think that's just a feature of these cars. There you have Mesa Community College. That driver is looking forward to the next race and a fresh opportunity to compete. The College of San Mateo and Clemson University will complete the cars on track, Matt, but straight away, battles all over. Up at the beginning, there was Mesa was trying to battle the Drexel machine of Alex Diamond. At the time, it looked like a carbon copy of our battle for the lead between Virginia and Clemson. So a lot of opportunity there for these drivers, very closely matched on talent. And yeah, end of the race, into the wall, as is tradition. A little bit different variation here that we see from Clemson. Want to get a couple 360s in on the way to the garage, but very, very exciting. And I can only imagine that it gets dicier here as we go into the warm-up and then into the final feature.
Yeah, for sure. As night falls here in Virginia at Virginia International Raceway, it's been a fantastic first race here. I think we might be able to hear from our race one winner, if that's possible, Josh.
That is correct. Joining us up here in the booth is Thomas Toomey from Virginia. So the Cavalier, having been maybe the only car to maintain on within track limits the whole time. Everybody else was roaming through the grass. But Thomas, how did that look through your windshield?
I had a lot of fun. It's a great track. Sun's setting here, so let's see how it is getting through with the reverse grid. But VIR is a great track, and yeah, always a great one.
Yeah, Thomas, we saw a lot of drivers having trouble keeping it on the tarmac and the black stuff in that first race. So obviously, you starting at the back, are you, and I guess this applies to the first race as well, but are you taking it 100% through some of these sections? We saw primarily, we saw turn 1 as well as turns 10 and the last turn as the real problem sectors for these cars with kind of the weight transfer and keep it on track. Are you driving at 95%, or are you trying to go flat out and get the position every time?
For me, those are definitely trouble corners, but what I'm trying to do throughout the rest of the lap is minimize how much I'm sliding the rear tires so I have more grip in those corners. So it may look like I'm kind of underdriving, but I feel like that's just the race pace, and yeah, it feels good when the tires stay underneath you.
Yeah, Thomas, we're taking notes on some stuff for GT3 and Tin Top Racing there that looked like your car was doing. Other cars were not. Your car appeared to be winning. So maybe that will translate to my official iRacing endeavors. But congrats. Go get ready here for Heat 2, and good job there on the first race of the night.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is the Virginia Cavalier Thomas Toomey. I would not be surprised, Matt, if we spoke with him coming up here after the second heat. But wow, that sun has really gone down, and these drivers are going to have a totally different experience. I wonder if our camera crew as well will have a totally different experience, but we will all find out together here in about 6 or so minutes time.
Yeah, for sure. I think it got a lot darker, a lot quicker than I was expecting. Obviously, no lights around this track. There are some road courses, of course, which do have lights around them. Obviously, Daytona Road, one of the more iconic ones. But even places like Le Mans, for example, they have lights along the front stretch. So even when they're racing at night, there are some parts of the track which are still fairly well lit. But here, it's, VIR is kind of out in the middle of the country, so there's not a lot of city lights around to kind of induce any light pollution or anything like that. So when it gets dark out here, it gets dark. So expect to see some flashing headlights from some of our drivers tonight, maybe trying to use everything they can to make an overtake done. or get an overtake done, I should say, even if that means blinding the driver in front of them.
Yeah, that could be, and we know that it should be pretty exciting for these drivers to get sorted and understand just where the limitations are. They're going to have to manage the track. I suspect that these drivers who are now inverted, after finishing up front, they will start from the back. I assume they would want to kind of give a lap or two before executing maximum attack, give some time for some drivers, some calamity to occur, drivers to head off. But yeah, it is going to be totally different here. Oh, big wiggle, only warm up, so everybody can survive. But yeah, we're going to see that because all the reference points that you were using are no longer there. And I don't know if light pollution, of all the things modeled in iRacing, I don't know if light pollution is one of them. But you know, there's a lot of things that they do, so it could be. It could be.
That's true. I always feel like tracks that are near the city somehow, even if they're road courses without very many lights, somehow are a little lighter. I'm trying to think one off the top of my head, maybe like Road Atlanta. I don't know. I say Road Atlanta has lights though, so you can't even say that as through the final corner. This is a great shot of just how much elevation change there is in this track. I think one of the underappreciated facts about this track is just how much undulation there is, especially in kind of the S's leading up to the oak tree, as well as the last couple corners on the lap. Lots of undulation there and a lot of elevation change that make this track such a unique challenge for drivers.
Yeah, it is. And these drivers now, looks like warm-up is completed, and we will be getting ready for the feature shortly. And these drivers, again, are going to have to pay attention. There we go, onto the grid. And so we'll see right there. Boy, you can hardly see the flagmen, Matt.
Well, it's a good thing these drivers have headlights then, because these headlights are lighting up the flagman now, as Max Hartman from Embry-Riddle will start on pole for the second race tonight, finish the back of the pack for race 1, so he'll get the benefit of pole position for race 2, as 2 is outside. Another driver who met an unfortunate end in the barriers in race 1 now is Timothy Wilms for Drexel University. The 86 car is going to start second for the second race. Andrew Burrell from Clemson will start third, and to his outside will be Michael Tognati from the College of San Mateo. Both those drivers had adventures on the final lap of race 1. They're hoping to keep it on the black stuff for race 2. Ian Brown from Mesa Community College, another driver we saw really have trouble with keeping the car on the track. He'll start 5th, and then Alexander Diamond. He had a very uneventful race. From our perspective, obviously didn't see him a lot, but a nice steady march through the field for him in race 1 led to a 3rd place finish, and then he'll start 6th for race 2. And then Kyle Bonin from Clemson University will start 7th. He had a good battle with Thomas Toomey, who starts in 8th for race 2.
That is the full grid, and boy, the battle's going to be on here at the green flag. Clemson and Virginia are not going to slow down from 1st and 2nd, the front row, to the back row, 7th and 8th. That's the excitement here for the invert as these drivers try and get sorted. Yeah, that's wherever these cars are is probably going to be the brightest point on track this whole time. I do observe the pace car driving without headlights today, so maybe we'll have to have a speak with the driver there. You'd want your headlights on, at least for safety, maybe for just seeing the best way to get around here right now. But it looks like Embry-Riddle going to bring us to the green flag this time, and Drexel University there on the outside. So very exciting. In fact, the Embry-Riddle driver, Max Hartman, 2 times VEX Robotics state champion there. So a very nice feather in the cap for a technically minded individual. And yeah, no slouch. The student there, an aerospace engineer. And I don't know if there's much else than aerospace engineering at Embry-Riddle. I'm sure they've got the array, electrical, mechanical, but Embry-Riddle with locations in Florida as well as Arizona. That seems to be pretty straightforward there, Matt. But joining him on the front row, Tim Wilms from Drexel. And very, very fun to talk to Wilms for a little bit. Was in 11 years in the Air Force as an aircraft technician. Now a student at Drexel University. So getting the full experience there of life and the full experience here at the front row of the grid. So a lot of background, a lot of unique experience behind these drivers that are behind the wheels of these Toyota race cars.
Yeah, for sure, Josh. And I think it's one of the things that's just so incredible about iRacing and other series like this is just that the kind of the broad spectrum of people who come together, race cars like this. Obviously, they always say that the cars aren't real and the tracks aren't real, but the racing certainly is real as our drivers get to experience the full darkness now of VAR as the sun is completely dipped below the horizon as our drivers get ready to take the green flag here.
Yeah, and this is that long straightaway where all these drivers are going to have an opportunity to make moves. Very interesting to see Clemson and Kyle Bonin following Toomey for a couple times through there. Not really pulling out, keeping his poker face on. Yeah, that seems to be the way it goes here. So all these drivers, the mental and mind games have got to be one of the best parts of motorsport.
Yeah, for sure. You see it all the time. Drivers really try to maybe not necessarily make an overtake, but maybe force the driver in front of them into making a mistake. We saw it last race. We saw Kyle Bonin right up on the bumper of Thomas Toomey, maybe trying to get him to make a mistake. But now it's time for race 2 to start as the pace cars are coming through the final couple of corners now. Embry-Riddle is getting that yellow and blue car on the inside right now. Who's outside is Timothy Wilms from Drexel University, hoping to make a move into the first corner, but behind them, 6 challengers away to make their way through the field right now, but the pace car has pulled off into the grid, or the pits, and the night has fallen here at VAR right now as Embry-Riddle's Max Hartman leaves the field of green, and he gets the gas down now. It's green for the second race tonight. It looks like Ian Brown is trying to make some moves in the back of the field right now as they go side by side, 3 wide almost down into turn 1, Josh.
There's a move in the grass. We'll have to see if grass was actually involved right there. But, yeah, there it was on the inside. Michael Tognati, and great defense, great line right there from Embry-Riddle. The big mover right there seems to be Mesa Community College up into P2. College of San Mateo, 3rd place. That's where they started the first heat. We'll see where they can finish the second heat. All the drivers trying to jockey for position right now. Oh, and a bit off and a bit sideways there for Hartman, but well collected, and that's not easy to do right there, Matt. So looks like now 2x2. Yeah, everybody going to get choked up behind because 2 wide through that section of corners, and right there actually, again, yeah, is not what you want to do. Oh, man, great skill by all those drivers to kind of navigate that as that Embry-Riddle machine was being gathered back up. Max, skillful behind the wheel right there. I do see now that Drexel University, Clemson University, and Virginia are right there in the center of your screen. It's a Clemson sandwich in that regard. And diving down, they're gonna take this hard left-hand turn where so many cars get unsettled. They're gonna come up to Oak Tree. I do see that Mesa Community College has eclipsed the College of San Mateo, and so that is Mesa to the point here. And can they manage? Oh, they're sideways and staying on track. I see a car around Embry-Riddle around at the top of your screen, but a big pass on right here. Kyle Bonin is going to take advantage of that wiggle and that grass from the Drexel University car, and Alex Diamond, the points leader. And so Alex Diamond is going to try and gather that car back up as best he can, but Clemson University, I don't know if this pass is going to get done, but I expect that there will be some give and take there. Yeah, it looks like actually Diamond giving way to Virginia and Clemson in that regard. So straight away, Mesa, San Mateo, Clemson, and Virginia, the top half of the order, and I would expect that those cars are going to bunch up, Matt.
Yeah, for sure. At the front of the field is Ian Brown, who was leading the first lap. He's had a storming first lap, up a couple positions. I believe he started in 6th, and now he's up to 1st. So great lap from Ian Brown at Mesa Community College. But right now, it's Thomas Toomey and Kyle Bonin from Virginia and Clemson, respectively, trying to make their way through the field. They led 1-2 through the first race, but now right now they're 3rd and 4th. So plenty of time to make moves in this race, but you can really tell how dark it's gotten now. I think these drivers are really going to start to struggle to see their braking points as Kyle Bonin is now close to within half a second of the College of San Mateo car of Michael Tognati, as Tognati just lets Kyle Bonin by there. I don't think much of a fight for Tognati, and I think he knows his races with the cars behind him, not necessarily Bonin, who's now in front of him.
Yeah, no need to lose time right there, because you know that the Orange Wheel Racing teammate Bonin was probably not going to be so patient in that instance. He knows that Toomey's fast, Toomey's on his way forward, and he thinks he can catch and pass that Mesa Community College team. So that's going to be something to watch. That gap is about 2 seconds right there for Mesa, or up to Mesa, up to the leader of this race. You can see right there these cars wiggling around, squirming for grip on this track. The sun is going down. This oh, it's sideways. Big touch right there. He's not letting that one go. And back, yeah, with the door there is Virginia. So those two drivers will share opinions after this one. And back in the slipstream. So defended in some manner by the College of San Mateo, but Tognati might expect a little bit of a help going into the final set of S's. And here is Virginia.
Yeah, side-by-side racing right there, getting elbows out. Tognati thinks that he might be able to race Toomey for more than just a couple corners here, but I think Toomey's going to have the run coming out of the oak tree. He's going to make the move on Tognati there. Toomey's probably not going to be very happy with Tognati just because now he's lost, 2.5 seconds to his rival in Kyle Bonin, but Tognati's just going to say that's hard racing. Right, Rubbin's racing, so there's no point in getting upset over spilled milk, as Tognati now has to worry about the driver behind him again, and Alexander Diamond, as Diamond is gaining ground quickly on Tognati, coming down the front stretch and into turn 1, Josh.
Diamond, a very good road racer, whether he's got a roof over his head or a halo in the Formula 4 cars, and right here he's got an opportunity. He's on the outside, but he's good on the brakes. Looks like right here he's going to just try and decide to do a cross something over or do an over-under. Knight has squarely fallen here in the hills of Virginia, and the College of San Mateo is trying to keep that pair of headlights right behind. Doing a good job so far. Not too many passing opportunities for a little while, but yeah, I would expect Drexel to have a run out of Oak Tree. And I'll tell you who else has been running. Kyle Bonin and Clemson University have obliterated that gap. I just said it was 2 seconds. Now it's almost half a second. So Ian Brown not getting that. And yeah, Thomas Toomey, you mentioned, that gap is growing up there to his Clemson rival. So here we go again, a battle for the lead. Mesa Community College, the biggest issue in Heat 1, Matt, was keeping it on the track, making sure that car was consistent. And right here, a move to the outside. It'll be on the outside of Oak Tree. Taking the braking line away is Kyle Bonin. It's a tried and true strategy. Now, does he get a run out of Oak Tree? It looks like he's going to pull to the right. Great onboard shot. This is what Kyle is seeing right there. A bit of a shuffle as those two drivers try and agree on who gets what lane. But straight away here, this pass, he's going to have preferred position into this right-hander if it's not completed by the time they arrive.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be very, very tough for these drivers to kind of run side by side with some of these corners. But Bonin gets the move done coming down the backstretch. He's going to move up into the lead on lap 3 of this second race right now. But further throughout the field, Alexander Diamond has not made up any ground on Michael Tognati. In fact, he's lost a couple tenths of a second so far. But Diamond's not going to give that one up easily. I think he's going to try to just stay patient. Plenty of time left in this race, obviously. 2-minute laps, really 7 laps to go at the line, so it's plenty of time to make up a move. As at the front of the field, Mesa Community College might be fighting this one back against Kyle Bonin.
Yeah, I think so. That gap is nose to tail right there, very quick. And oh, there's the move right there. Drexel on the inside. Can it be done? Can it be defended? Yes. Turn 1, turn 2, very good car position from Drexel. And the points leader takes the position that is new 4th place runner, Drexel University, and Alex Diamond. I do observe that gap between Clemson and Mesa is now a second. So you were correct, Matt, that they were right on, and something has happened to update that gap at the front.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what. Maybe Ian Brown just had a little bit of a wiggle or something similar, and that cost him some time. And as a result of that, as Thomas Toomey now, he's crawled his way back to this fight for the lead. He's now within a second of Ian Brown, and Ian Brown is kind of getting a bit of a gap closed to Kyle Bonin in front. So this is a 3-car battle for the lead now as they head up to the Oak Tree.
It is, and I did look, Mesa Community College, no off track for that car, but very deep into turn 1, and that cost a lot of time and resulted in the gap that you saw there. But all these drivers right now trying to stay on track and do their best to stay on track as Clemson leads Mesa and Virginia down the long straightaway. You can see these drivers trying to navigate with their headlights out on, and this track temperature has, it was never too hot, but it's cooled down now. 78, 79 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's going to be helping these drivers find what little grip there is there in these Toyota cars. Right here, great shot as we go on board with the University of Virginia, trying to carry as much momentum as possible. And you can see how far will Virginia push that car over to the left right here. You see all the curb, getting a great run, and yeah, that's what I want to do every time I exit that corner, Matt, but sometimes my extremities do not always execute to perfection.
Yeah, sometimes it's just mind over matter as these drivers really tough it out in these conditions right now. As the battle between College of San Mateo and Drexel was heating up, but at the front of the field, it looks like something has happened to Kyle Bonin as he's lost tons of spots. It looked like he might have gone off the track. I'm not quite sure. We'll have to get a replay of that as it looks like to the inside, that's Kyle Bonin on Thomas Toomey. So trying to do some damage control and damage limitation here, the Clemson University driver is. But now he's lost that lead. He's going to have to re-overtake Ian Brown, and we know how difficult that can be as this fight at the front is heating up. It's warmer than the track temperature, I can tell you that much, Josh.
It was a slowdown, Matt, a slowdown for that Clemson machine right there on that final corner. We talked about just how much these drivers want to cut that. Well, you want to cut it, but not that much. It was a course cut and a slowdown penalty, and that is going to restack the field. And obviously, Matt, all these drivers very talented up at the front, skill level very equivalent to one another, but I don't know that on this given night that Mesa car is the fastest of the bunch of three. Actually, as Clemson looks to the inside, and a block right there, not having it, that's going to make Clemson have to back out. Thomas Toomey and Virginia are going to be on the outside right here. He's going to see if he can say something around the outside. That's not, and a lot of contact right there. You saw the sparks. Great shot of racing at night. And now what do you do side by side? It's a drag race. And I think this is the three amigos go racing. I don't think there's a clear winner here. Oh, cars trouble at the top of your screen right there. They came together, but both kept it straight. But this is the battle for second place, Clemson and Virginia, that has tended to be the theme all night long. Toomey on the inside of the left-handed kink, and then he'll be on the outside for the big right-hander. But he's got the pass nearly done. He leaves the room. A wise decision not to jump over in front of his buddy in front of braking right there, under braking right there. And looks like actually Bonin coming out the loser in that situation, not where you want to be. Kind of hop in, a skip, and a jump over that curb. And all of a sudden, everybody's separated by about a second, those top three, but I do not expect that will last for long. We are coming to the halfway point. All these drivers, if they could see this tower, they would see cross flags up there halfway.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned that there was a little bit of a fight brewing between Alexander Diamond and Michael Tognati. Diamond on the front of your screen right now, coming into the Oak Tree section, the 49 car from Drexel University on the right-hand turn. Looks like he gets a little bit of curb and goes a little bit wide off the track. Really loose coming back on the track. He gets passed by Michael Tognati while he's trying to keep it under control. So Tognati back up into the fourth position. A much better race from Tognati here in the second heat tonight. He's done a very good job of keeping it on the track, and right now he's still defending from Alexander Diamond.
That's exactly what's going on. I see the gap up at the front. Virginia starting to move forward ever so slightly, and Alex Diamond, can he catch? With that Drexel machine, can he catch the College of San Mateo a little bit further up the road?
Yeah, this is going to be a good fight when Toomey catches the back of Ian Brown, which he's looked like he's done very quickly here, coming to, I believe this is the Oak Tree section of the track. I'm not sure if there's a little bit of a wiggle there from Ian Brown or something, but the gap was at about a second, and now the gap is well under 2/10, closing to under a tenth now, as Thomas Toomey sniffs blood in the water. He's looking to make a path for the lead here in race 2 tonight. It looks like he's going to be on the outside of the first left-hander. That's turn 13. He's going to have the inside line for turn 14, though, as they come down the back stretch here. Will Thomas Toomey make the pass for the lead before they even get to the corner? They're touching a little bit, bumping door to door, coming down into the braking zone. That's super risky for both these drivers, because if they get into the braking zone and have contact there's going to be some major implications. But Thomas Toomey, who comes out with the lead over Ian Brown right now, and in the back of that battle right now, it's Kyle Bonin. He wants the lead, and he sniffs it.
Well, okay, he's going to do a lot more than sniff here if these two keep at it like they have there. Look at that gap come down. He has cut through that quite nicely. But I think you called it right there. Virginia, very defensive through here. Mesa Community College, not ready to try the Clemson grass pass just yet. But under braking, yeah, I think Thomas right here. Ooh, very good to get Virginia offline, very deep. That's where we saw Mesa out of shape, and Mesa learning from the mistakes. Ian Brown to the front after the second turn right there. It was a double apex. Now Virginia is going to have a mirror full of Clemson Tiger headlights. That was done to perfection, Matt. New leader, Mesa Community College.
Yeah, great job from Ian Brown there. He didn't get too flustered by getting overtaken there a few corners earlier. Gathered himself back up, made a great run through the front stretch, and was able to get the pass done in turn 1. So fantastic job from Ian Brown. And now Thomas Toomey's on the back foot under pressure from Kyle Bonin. As well as Alexander Diamond, he's putting some pressure on Michael Tognati right now, but Tognati has stood strong for the past couple laps, so we'll see how that battle develops. But right now, we are trying to keep our eyes on this battle for the podium positions right now. It's Thomas Toomey in the white 166 from the University of Virginia, and then Clemson University's Kyle Bonnet in that black and orange machine. If you can even see it at this point in the darkness, it's just headlights on the screen.
Yeah, I think that's the feeling for all these drivers as we come down to it'll be the green flag in the air, 2 to go when these drivers come down to the flag stand this time by. Darting to the inside is Virginia, a little bit late to the slipstream there was Clemson, and slowly closing up. Will there be an opportunity here on the inside? He's going to put that nose on the inside, axle to axle. He's got position, and down into the corner. Who can be just brave on the brakes? These drivers, while racing, have both pulled right up to the back of that Mesa car, and nobody is given an inch, but you don't want to slow down right here, as this is the left-hander, and all these drivers will then turn right. And very good right there. A little bit off the apex, almost missed the corner there, Clemson University, and that'll give Virginia a little bit of opportunity. But as we come across the line, it is 2 to go, and that gap about half a second per car. Drexel University continuing to work on the College of San Mateo in that battle for the midfield, though I say that, I suspect they've had an offer that gap actually was 0.2. Now it's a 1.2 almost. But this battle is heated up at the front.
Yeah, these drivers are not giving an inch. They're putting it all on the line here for a potential race victory, as the lead is swapped between Ian Brown and Thomas Toomey a couple times this race, and the second position is swapped between Toomey and Bonin as well, as these cars are nose to tail through this this first sector chicane here. Quick left, get yourself set up for that quick right-handed turn as Kyle Bonin, the third car in this pack. I think he's okay where he is right now. I think if I had to be in any position, I'd want to be in his shoes, just because you can worry about attacking more than you can defending. As they come through this quick sector here, it's all flat out as you ride on board with Thomas Toomey. It's going to be flat left, flat right, another flat left coming up here, maybe another flat right as well, right on the back bumper. It looks like Toomey's going to try to make a move here around the outside, or the inside potentially, of turn 10. That's a very difficult corner to make a move into. Contact between the two cars. Toomey's way out of shape right now, keeping it under control though. A great job from Toomey. He got into the back bumper of Mesa Community College, almost lost it, but he kept it on the tarmac, and he's still in this fight right now, but he's lost a lot of time, Josh.
Yeah, he has, and maybe he can rely on these two to battle a little bit and bring that gap back in. It's up over a second right now. And, yeah, I think that's fair play there with 2 to go, because, Matt, we have Mesa was making a move. Mesa had the right to the racing line right there. Side by side, though, as they go into the corner. Clemson University showing atop the ticker, but they are side by side very late on the brakes right there. Can he get it slowed up right there? I don't know. And Mesa Community College going to try and come back. He's probably got to make a run here onto the front stretch. And so Ian Brown, can he do to Clemson University what he did a couple laps ago to Virginia? Can he get the job done under braking in turns 1 and 2? Can he force a mistake from the Clemson driver?
Yeah, we'll see as Ian Brown here is in the slipstream a little bit. He's gaining a little bit of time on Kyle Bonin, but pulls out of the draft very early on. He wants to maybe establish that position, just show that he wants to brake late around the outside, but we saw him do that in race 1 and end up in the grass on the outside of the turn. But very good on the brakes there from Ian Brown, able to keep it really tight to Clemson University's. It looks like further back in the field, Drexel's Alexander Diamond and Michael Tognati are swapping the 4th position right now. It was Diamond in front for it, but as Kyle Bonin goes a little bit wide here in this fight for the lead, is this going to give Ian Brown the opportunity to make a move into the chicane? He's on the inside for this turn, outside for the next. It's going to be so tight. Ian Brown gets a great run off the corner, though. He'll regain that lead, as now Kyle Bonin's got to watch his behind because he's got Thomas Toomey all over him.
Under fire is Clemson. The Cavaliers have arrived again for the number nth time tonight. And this is the same move that we saw. So Toomey had a look to the inside right here. Great onboard shot as we see what does the driver think is best. A little bit further off, so maybe going to carry that run. Oh, and sideways actually on the grass, so that's not the fast way through. And Virginia there is going to let that battle go for the time being. Clemson has the ability to go fully offensive on Mesa Community College. He's got the slipstream down the longest straight here at Virginia International Raceway. Ian Brown trying to break that draft. That's what you need to do right there. A lot of weaving. It's not a sin because it's not under braking right here, but it doesn't matter. The 260 car is going to try and maneuver to that outside. He'll have the run. He's just got to stay in position on the outside of this kink.
Yeah, it looks like Ian Brown just had a little bit more steam in his engine there as he's able to pull ahead coming into the corner. And they're going to take the white flag this lap, so these drivers will only have one more lap to make a move for the lead here, as Ian Brown has done amazingly so far, taking advantage of every opportunity that has come his way so far, as it looks like Alexander Diamond and Michael Tognati still swapping that 4th and 5th position as the battle at the front heats up for one final lap here from the Virginia International Raceway. Ian Brown in that blue and red car on the inside going down to turn 1. That's Kyle Bonin from Clemson University on the outside in the orange and black car. Who's going to get the move done here? Late on the brakes, both drivers, but who can be later? It's Ian Brown. He's been so good on the brakes, not only this race, but all season, as now Kyle Bonin looks to be under pressure from Thomas Toomey of Virginia, and he keeps coming back into this fight. You keep seeing him lose a little bit of ground, but every time he finds himself right back in that rear bumper of the second place car, as he wants to make a move here on Kyle Bonin quickly so he can make a move for the lead by the end of the lap.
Yeah, and you could probably get one car coming out of Oak Tree, and so you'd want to get the other one before, unless there's some war crimes planned that I'm not familiar with. But right now, Virginia has their sights set on Clemson, and then that gap is a little bit farther up the road to Mesa Community College. That's going to be the key there. Mesa just needs us to go on long enough to get to that midpoint of the lap. Down through the S's, big sideways from Kyle. That's in the grass. That's what happened to Virginia last time we were on board. Going down in the corner here, it's going to be under the brakes. And right, I would say that off track was not advantageous, but maybe it was, because right there, a nose inside, Clemson University with a great mid-corner apex speed to try and catch that Mesa car. But as these drivers come to the checkered flag, it's all to play for here between Mesa, Clemson, and Virginia.
It looks like it could be a drag race down to turn 13, 14, and 15 here for Kyle Bonin. Can he get the move done as he pulls to the outside of Ian Brown going down to turn 13? One final chance for Clemson University's Kyle Bonin. Around the outside they go, but that's going to give Kyle Bonin the inside for the next turn, but he's a little too deep as it looks like Ian Brown may be on the rear quarter panel of the Clemson University driver, and it looks like Kyle Bonin has done brilliantly to take the lead on this final lap, but can Ian Brown fight back on this final corner? Can he get the slipstream down to the line? It's going to be a very close battle. It looks like Ian Brown does have the run. Ian Brown, could he get on the grass? Is he going to try to fight this one to the line? Side by side they come. Two drivers have been fighting all race. It's going to be Kyle Bonin coming to the line, and he has a little bit more steam, and the gap between the two drivers only 33 thousandths of a second, and Thomas Toomey less than a quarter of a second behind. An incredible fight to the finish there, Josh, and those drivers, I think Kyle Bonin's earned every ounce of that top podium position here.
It was, and the battle was on for a very long time between Drexel and San Mateo, Diamond and Tognati. But it looks like Tognati has actually gone off right there. That gap opened up from about half a second to 3 seconds. And so this, by the way, big trouble. It's not done yet. That's not what the car is supposed to look like. I believe that's a down tire or a dead corner right there for the Diamond machine that we are following. And he has to tow. He has to
It looks
tow
like after the stripe, though.
After the stripe, he did get it. So Michael Tognati will pull right there. That will be the race completed for those drivers. So a couple cars finishing up at Clemson and Drexel, but wow, what a race! And we getting moved down towards that inside line right there, Mesa Community College. I thought we were going to see something in the grass there, Matt, but no complaints from me. What an event! From these three for about the last hour.
Yeah, for sure. As we get a replay here of the pass for the lead for Kyle Bonin down into turn 13 for the final time in race 2. He's super deep on the brakes. He gets a little bit loose almost and is able and loose again on the exit as they come through turn 15. And I thought Ian Brown had the run coming out of the final corner. It's just so tough to tell, especially in the darkness from the camera shots. Yeah, you see Kyle Bonin there way sideways coming through the final couple of corners, and Ian Brown straight to the apron of the pit entry, and it looks like they're going side by side. Almost a little bit of contact, it looks like, and I think Ian Brown just ran out of horsepower coming to the stripe there, and maybe a little bit of contact prevented him from getting up to that speed he wanted to get to. But a very well thought victory for Kyle Bonin, and clean racing from all three of those drivers at the front of the field. Super respectful, and all, the entire race we saw some rubbing, but nothing that I would consider dirty or kind of dangerous driving.
Yeah, what a blast to see these drivers try and sort through knowing their braking points. These drivers already talking about how difficult it was in the night to see, but so much good stuff from those drivers. And yeah, we'll have to hear the opinions as we were coming to the checkered flag. There was a lot going on there, and I didn't know. I saw the wiggle from Clemson there on the final lap, and had to move around. But yeah, this was Alex Diamond and Drexel University. Looks like not coming together. Coming together and having a little bit of issues right there. But yeah, not what you want, and not how you want to end your night. But Matt, I think we have our first of the podium finishers. We spoke to him after the first heat. Now we're going to speak to him after the feature race. Virginia's Thomas Toomey. Thomas, that was a nail biter for us from start to finish. Walk us through that and walk us through coming to the final part of the race. Did you think you had a chance?
Yeah, I think we all had a chance going into the last lap, depending on contact and whatever. I think it just continually got harder and harder to spot braking points at the end. So, yeah, everyone was just making little mistakes, and unfortunately, I missed my braking point into turn 1 at the wrong time, and yeah, and then those two got to battle it out at the end. But it was fun to watch from the best seat in the house, I'd say.
Yeah, Thomas, we saw you a couple times in turn 10, that left-hander before the oak tree hairpin at the top of the track. We saw you have a couple issues with the grass there. Is that something that you can just attribute to kind of the darkness and you're missing the braking points and where the grass starts and where the tarmac ends? Or is that just something you're pushing too hard and maybe you overstep the boundaries a little bit too much?
I think we were kind of taking different lines through the corner. So both times it happened is when car in front was a little bit slower than I had expected, so I took a little bit different line and picked up more understeer. So yeah, and once you start sliding in this car, there's not a whole lot you can do other than pray to point it straight once you hit the grass.
That seemed like what a lot of drivers were doing. Before we let you go this evening, is there anybody that you want to thank tonight?
I just want to thank the league and thank the stewards for putting their time into viewing this race, especially at the end when it's harder to see and judge stuff.
I think that was our view as well. But congrats, awesome showing for Virginia and for yourself, Thomas.
Thank you.
Yeah, Matt, I think that tracks. It did get tricky, and to see these cars at night as we get to the end. But speaking now to our second place driver, it's Mesa Community College, and we didn't know what to expect there as we got down to the final 100 meters or so. But Ian Brown, congratulations on second place. Walk us through that race and that last lap.
Man, I had kind of a death grip on the wheel. Like, it was scary enough just like getting to the lead and having to lap by myself like at night because the visibility was so poor. And I knew Kyle and Thomas both had pace on me, and I made a bunch of mistakes in the first heat. I don't know how I held on like that. I know I didn't win, but like that was pretty nuts. I'm still just trying to mentally process all that just happened.
Yeah, Ian, congrats on the second place finish. Unfortunate to miss out on the win there with the drag race to the line. But obviously, you mentioned it, mistakes in the first race. You had a really, really good second race. Are you thinking about the first race at all during that second race? Thinking about the mistakes, or are you just focused about what's in front of you?
Honestly, I think the best I could have done in the first race was third, and I ended up getting fourth. And that ended up giving me the right side for the start of the second race instead of the left, which helped me get to the front early. So I think it kind of all worked out in the end, despite all the mistakes. And yeah.
Ian, before we let you go tonight, maybe relax a little bit. Is there anybody that you want to thank or give a shout out to?
I'm gonna thank Kyle because it's hard to race like that, and he did well and he earned the win.
That can't argue with that. Well, congrats again, Ian. Really fun to watch all of you guys so skilled race and compete, and have a great night. So Ian Brown, man, I think he was just out of energy. He said it. He gave it everything, right there, Matt. But now, finally, we get to hear again from Kyle Bonin and Clemson. Kyle, it's man, congrats on the win. You earned it. That was tricky for everybody out there. But what did it look like from your perspective?
Can I breathe now? The dark there is quite something. Especially when you're leading, it's actually easier almost to follow because there's a car in front of you that's kind of casting light ahead of you, so you can kind of see the corners coming. When you're out front, it's just the length of your headlights is all you have, and it's actually kind of easy to get lost on that track, especially through the S's. There were a few times where I kind of lost where I was and had to regain like the driving line there. But man, that was kind of tricky. I think VIR is already one of the harder tracks out there, just due to like all the blind corners and off camber stuff. Especially the last corner is kind of hard to get right. But man, you throw the dark in there, and that was kind of a beast.
Yeah, Kyle, congratulations on the win, of course, but we saw you have a great back and forth fight with Ian Brown there in the second race. Now, obviously, you kind of get put in a position where you kind of lose the lead to Ian Brown, and then you're right on the back foot, Thomas Toomey. Are you just focused on the driver in front of you in those situations, or are you focused on defending and trying to minimize the damage? Because we definitely saw Thomas Toomey put you under pressure when you kind of dropped back from first.
Yeah, it's kind of I guess it's one of those things where, at least in that instance, I know Thomas Toomey very well, and so I kind of know his driving style and kind of knew what to expect already with him. And I knew that we were both kind of going for the same thing at that point in the race, because I think it was about lap 5. So I think we both were kind of agreeing upon that whoever was in second would try to get the lead first, and then try to make our way past Ian. I think that was the plan then. It didn't end up working out that way, and we kind of got tripped over ourselves a couple times, but was mostly focused, I guess, on going forward rather than looking back.
That was very well said and a good strategy for anybody out there trying to race in a really competitive field. But Kyle, again, congratulations. Is there anybody that you want to thank that makes this possible for you before we turn you loose tonight?
Again, like usual, just everybody that's part of the Orange Wheel Racing group and the support that we get there. And then you guys here at CiL who keep this going, whether you're broadcasting, stewarding, or anything. It's great to see this still going.
Yeah, I think it's great to see you guys out there putting on the show continually. This summer has been a blast. So congrats to you, Kyle, and to Clemson, and have a great night.
Okay, thank you very much.
Man, Matt, that was well said. I think I said it before. I'll say it again. Is what a battle that came down to a wiggle from one driver. For a minute I thought that on that so the pass was done into the third sector there by Bonin Clemson, who kind of was late on the brakes, left maybe a .6 car width there on the inside, and I wondered if it was going to be such that the driver actually came back, Ian Brown actually came back on the inside, but I think he thought better of that. He did kind of maybe nudge Clemson right there. And so he did make the most of his opportunity there towards the end of the race, of the lap, to get the job done. But I don't think we can ask for much more there from the racing, from the action, and from the drivers.
Yeah, for sure. These drivers put it all on the line out there tonight. I don't think they left an inch of space out there for each other than obviously to leave room for their fellow competitors. So I think it really shows the peak of CIL racing, just how respectful some of these drivers are and how talented they really are, especially at night. That adds a completely different level of complexion to the race. Where, and you heard Kyle say it, where or someone said, Ian, one of the drivers said it, where it was easier to be in second because the car in front of you was lighting up the track more, right? So kind of that playing into the strategy was super fun to watch. I think you could almost tell that drivers who were in second were always a little bit faster than the driver than first.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. It's everybody has said it that we've interviewed, and then as well in Discord, that it was really hard to see out there tonight. So that'll be something that we have to consider, and that these drivers will add to their notebook is night racing. Maybe that's something to work on.
Yeah, for sure. And I think these drivers don't race at night that often, and if they do, they're typically in bigger or different cars, typically GT3 cars. I envision racing more often in the night, prototype cars. So either way, it was super fun to watch. But if you're looking for more CIL action after this race, be sure to tune in next Monday night for the CIL Gen 4 series. Heading to Phoenix for the first round of the playoffs next week on Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern. That's going to be a fun show to watch. Phoenix always puts on a good race, and that's going to be a unique challenge for our drivers as they head out west to that special, unique 1-mile track. And if you're looking for more 10 top GR86 action, be sure to tune in. Same place, same time, 1 week from now, as our drivers head out to Great Britain to take on Brands Hatch. They'll take on the full circuit, the Grand Prix circuit, not the Indy circuit, so be sure to tune in then. But for myself, Matthew Nordenberg, joining me up in the booth, Josh Crane, and everybody here at the CIL, we really want to thank you for tuning in to tonight's race. We hope to see you again sometime soon, and as always, stay fast.